Hello, welcome to DeKalb Talks Tourism. Our guest today is head coach Jon Akin with Atlanta. What is Atlanta? Oglethorpe Soccer with Oglethorpe University. Welcome, Jon.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So, we've known each other, I guess, for a little while, but tell us about yourself.
Sure. A native Floridian. I grew up in Pensacola, Florida. Went to Pensacola Catholic High School. I ended up going to St. Leo University, just north of Tampa. After a very good college career, I was drafted and played for the Charleston Battery. Oh. And then how I came to Atlanta was I was traded from the Charleston Battery in 2002 to the Atlanta Silverbacks when the Silverbacks used to play in DeKalb Memorial Stadium. And at the end of the season, I was looking around at different places to get my master's degree and called Emory, Georgia State, Oglethorpe, and the guy at Oglethorpe called me back. And at the end of the season, the coach ended up leaving, and the athletic director came to me and said, "Hey, the kids really like you. Would you be interested in, coaching the team full time?" Which was the head men's and women's coaching job. And I said, okay, let's do it. And that was 23 years ago. So I traded my cleats in for a clipboard, and
Wow,
have been holding the clipboard ever since.
So, which you like better, coaching or playing?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I don't think anything beats living out your dream of, as a young kid, I wanted to be a professional soccer player, and I got a chance to do that for 5 years. So that was really special. But I think individually, that was probably the best, but I think as you get older, you realize life is more about giving back, and I think you can have a lot more influence from the coaching ranks and helping the next generation grow, learn about themselves, and be better players and better people over time. So now I would say coaching. 23 years ago, I'd say playing.
Yeah, I would get that. That makes sense too. I did hear that the Charleston Battery has some really great games. The stadium and everything set up for just a very high energy crowd and games.
They do. When I was playing, our stadium capacity was 5,500, and it was actually the first soccer specific stadium in the United States of America.
Wow.
Some people say that the Columbus Crew that opened in March of '99 was the first one, but actually Charleston opened in February and was technically the first soccer specific stadium. And what I mean by that is, the fans are brought much closer to the field as opposed to being further away for more intimate environment. And then they've been building stadiums like that since then. But at the time, in '99, it was very unique. And Charleston's a big small town or a small
Right.
city, and without Major League Baseball or NBA or the NFL, we were kind of the superstars of the town, and that was pretty cool.
But Charleston's a huge tourism town, so you get a lot of visitors coming in.
Oh yeah, everybody in and out, and we had a good following on the youth side of things, and it was great. It was a great 4 years there in Charleston.
So you've been in Oglethorpe for 25 years?
23.
23
Yeah,
years.
23. Don't age me any more than I am.
Wow. Well, you're still a lot younger than me. So, you started out you became head coach.
Head coach. Yep.
Right when you started?
Right when I started. I was an assistant coach for about 8 weeks. I kind of came in midway through the season, and the coach left, and I was just there. Got the job by default. So rather be lucky than good.
Yes. Well, you get good and lucky.
Yeah, I'll take both.
You had both.
I'll take both.
So tell us a bit about the Oglethorpe soccer program.
It's a couple interesting facts. Actually, the two oldest soccer programs in the state of Georgia at the college level are Oglethorpe and Emory. Emory started in 1959. Oglethorpe started in 1961. In '61, legendary DeKalb County guy Garland Penholster, who our basketball court is named after, was the basketball coach and the athletic director. And at the time, we only had 3 sports. And to become a part of the NCAA in 1961, we had to add a 4th sport. So, this was, not many people knew about soccer, but they were trying to grow the game, and so that was the requirement to join the NCAA. So Garland Penholster turned to his basketball assistant, Billy Carter at the time, who said, "You're gonna coach the soccer team." And he said, "Soccer? What do I know about soccer?" So he said, "You got to figure it out." So he went and got half the baseball team and half the basketball team and started the soccer team. And there was a Canadian on campus named Benton Greenleaf who knew about soccer just from being in Canada, and he really, as a player coach, coached the team for those couple years. But 63 years we've had soccer there, and Oglethorpe and Emory are the oldest rivalry in the state of Georgia. So we've got a long history. Our men's program has been very, very good for about 15 years. We won 11 conference championships in the last 13 years. And very, very proud of that accomplishment. And yeah.
So, curiosity, do you know where you all rank across the country as being?
We were there were 60. Age. Well, we haven't started this season yet. I know we're going to get into that in a little while, but we were in the NCAA tournament, so the top 64 teams go. So we're definitely ranked in the top 64, although we've been ranked as high as 3. Somewhere between 7 and 25.
Wow.
Over the last few years. So we're in and out of the national rankings, and I think we've got a very good team this year. Where hopefully, if we have a couple early wins, you get in there early and kind of stay in there. But
you get the momentum.
Correct.
So if Emory is 2 years earlier than you, how do you all rank? Like, who was the first university to have soccer? Do you know that?
I think in the state. Well,
I mean, in the United States.
That's a really good question. I don't know the answer to that. I would have to say it would be somewhere up in New York or Philadelphia area. That's when a lot of the Europeans were coming over, and I think they probably started it before that. Maybe Harvard or one of those schools up there would probably have started it a little bit before that. But yeah,
that's pretty cool though. So the first organized soccer was in the United States, played 1876 between Princeton and Rutgers.
There you go.
That's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. Yeah. So it's been going for a while, and like I said, I figured it was New England somewhere, but and especially it's caught on a lot later in the South, but in Georgia it's Oglethorpe and Emory.
Interesting. That's very cool.
Yeah.
So you two are the oldest in the state, and that was the first game ever in 1876.
I didn't have any idea it was quite that old. I thought it was early 1900s, but wow.
So what is the deal with over in everywhere else in the world they call it football.
Right.
Of course we know we have real football.
Yeah.
So how did it become soccer over here? Was it football already established before?
What was the name?
Our
the name
football?
I think so. In the Latin cultures, it's still called football. But I think that American football stole the name early, and it was hard to convert. I don't know.
So I was just curious if American football was before Latin or European football, their football.
I think there's actually some people said that the Chinese, the English claimed that they invented the game in the 1850s or 60s or something like that. It was kind of a town game that they played, but some people said that the Chinese actually had a game 500 years earlier where they would actually use people's heads as a ball. The beheaded. I'm glad we don't do that kind of stuff anymore.
Sounds like something more the Romans would have done.
Yeah, could have been, but. Who's to know? But the English certainly claim to be the inventors of football.
Now I was in Madrid for my master's global trip, and we went to Real Madrid Stadium.
Oh wow, yeah, the Bernabeu. That's a great stadium.
Yeah, we went to the stadium. We saw their museum, so it was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's amazing, and they just renovated it this past summer. I was over there, funny enough, and saw their stadium was being redone. Real Madrid stadium was being redone. We could see part of it, but we couldn't see all of it. But they've got the retractable fields and the different levels. It's unbelievable. Yeah, it's definitely.
Yes, the soccer's really gotten really high interest in this country now.
Yeah, it's been growing. I think that I had the ability to see 5 games in Orlando. I watched all 5 games in Orlando in 1994 in the World Cup. And for those of us that grew up in the States and played in the 70s and 80s, it was a lot of times you played soccer, you were kind of weird, or you couldn't play football or basketball or didn't like it. And after that 94 World Cup, you could see sponsors come on board and it becoming more commonplace. I mean, if you go to a restaurant now, it's trendy to see somebody in a Messi jersey. You didn't see people in soccer jerseys in the 80s, unless you were a diehard soccer fan, and there weren't many of us. So I think it's permeated mainstream culture, and it's cool and trendy for younger kids to wear jerseys and things like that. And the MLS has done a great job overall growing the game. They started in '96. And it's. I think we're at the generation now where a lot of parents grew up playing the game, and I don't think that was necessarily true with our parents.
Right.
My dad learned soccer. He was my coach for years, but he learned soccer in the Navy and from a book. And I think that's the difference with this next generation.
So is soccer still the fastest growing youth sport, or was it taken over by, it seemed like it was like lacrosse or something?
That's a good question. I don't think you could keep up the explosion that we had, but there's always pops after major sporting events. And
so after 26, I think soccer's going to all of a sudden explode in the United States.
I think it'll grow on a high growth chart again. And I think it'll be interesting to see what that trend is. I think it might be pickleball actually right now.
That's true. Pickleball.
Pickleball might be.
I think you're right. I think pickleball right now, because it's young, old.
Anybody can play.
Anybody. Like we have huge pickleball facility here in DeKalb County, right up at Spaghetti Junction, and they have pickleball. They have tennis, indoor tennis, and then they have padel. The only padel courts in Metro Atlanta.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
It is interesting how all of that's now
a thing.
Picked up so much speed.
Yeah, but yeah, it's so much. The game is so prevalent now. Where I'm excited about where the sport is right now, and I think we can continue to push into the big American football and basketball and baseball. I think we're really close to cracking into that as far as viewerships, and the more people watch it, the more money there is for TV, which trickles down to everywhere else.
Well, Coach, tell us the secret sauce for building such a dynamic team now.
I think the biggest thing is longevity. I think you could build a team, and I had a few very good teams early. I think we went from 10th in our conference to 2nd in our conference in 2 years. But the one thing that I learned in the coaching ranks is we had a great team, but the program wasn't quite as deep as we needed to be to sustain that success. So I think longevity is probably the most important thing. And then the other most important ingredient, and probably the most important ingredient, is good players. And, getting out there, grinding on the recruiting trail, developing relationships around the city with high school coaches, with club coaches. On one front, kind of getting kids in the funnel, if you will, that that you're aware of, that you could start the recruiting process with. Oglethorpe's not a hard sell. It's a beautiful campus.
Yeah, it is.
The area around us has exploded and been cleaned up over the years, and just continues to be a great place to recruits and their families to come visit campus. So that's not a hard sell. And then you also need to deliver on the quality experience that those student athletes have. And I think we've worked very hard at that. And then all of a sudden, wheels start turning a little bit faster, and you win and you have success, and that's a good feeling. And then you get that out in the community, and people want to be a part of that. And I think we just need to continue to talk about our success, what we do as far as providing a great academic experience. I mean, Oglethorpe is, was founded in 1835, so we're not too far away from our bicentennial, which is wild. Almost 11 years, 10 years out, and we're excited about that longevity, and we've got some great things going on. We've got some great alums out there. Cameron Brady, who's the CEO of Global Payments. Tim Tosopoulos, class of '81 at Oglethorpe, was the COO of Chick-fil-A for almost a decade. He just retired this past year. So Oglethorpe does a great job of preparing young men and women for the next phase of their lives and sending them on to grad school and such. But we just want to keep getting that message out there that we're a great place to be.
So the school was founded in 1826.
35.
1835.
Mm-hmm.
And soccer started in
1961.
1961.
Yep.
Okay, so you got a long term to go for that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I've seen it's 30.
I'm not going to be around to catch that, right?
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah.
Maybe Monica.
Yeah, Monica will probably make
You
it.
can be here for that.
Yeah.
So tell us how big your stadium is, and when you play Emory, do you all have like a neutral place to play since you two are big rivals?
We alternate. So this year we're actually playing them on Monday. It's a kind of a tweak in their Sonny Carter Invitational that happens every weekend, and we normally play either home one year and then the next year we'll play away. It's a great opportunity for their fans and our fans to come together. We normally draw close to 1,000 people at those games. Certainly at Oglethorpe, all our games are free to attend, and it's a great family friendly environment to come out and watch live college soccer and high level college soccer. Save you a trip to going all the way to Mercedes-Benz, and you can get in and out pretty quickly.
So how do they look at your schedule? Where do they find out when the games are?
GoPetrels.com. So we can if you just go to GoPetrels.com and go to men's soccer, you can go to all of our 16 sports. You can kind of go across our sports page and find out any of those home events. And it's a great viewing atmosphere. Our baseball stadium, which used to be the soccer stadium from 1961 to 91, when we built a different field in a different part of campus, holds about 5,000 people. We don't play in that anymore. We've got about 1,000 seats in our new stadium on our turf field over there. So
the baseball stadium is the
Hermance Stadium. That's the one where in the 20s, when Oglethorpe was the same size as Georgia Tech in Georgia, there used to be 5,000 people at those games. And
but isn't that where in the very entrance,
yes,
the
correct,
Shakespearean-looking theater?
The Shakespeare Theater is in the back. That's the Conant Performing Arts Center. But when on the main drag on Peachtree, Hermance Stadium, which is actually a Georgia historical site. I think the whole campus is, but that building in particular.
Doesn't that look like a Shakespeare theater as
well? It does. It looks like an amphitheater.
Amphitheater, yes.
Amphitheater, and the really unique part of that was, as the story goes, Mr. Hermance was a very wealthy businessman in Atlanta in the 20s, and when our Oglethorpe, I think in 1926, we went undefeated, and we beat Auburn and Alabama and Tennessee and Georgia, believe it or not.
Wow.
Back then. And Mr. Hermance gave, I think, $100,000 to the school to build a rival to the LA Coliseum out in California. And the stock market crash happened in 29, and he lost a lot of his fortune. And so what we have right now is 1/8 of a 40,000 seat stadium, and it's still amazing. It really is, and it holds 5,000 people, and it's a really unique venue. But some of the inscriptions on the buildings and everything is just it's a great place to go check out.
They play baseball there.
They play baseball there. Yep.
Can you kick out baseball and put soccer in?
Yeah, if it was shaped a little differently, we wouldn't want to kick them out. But the great thing is they're a spring sport. So, but the venue that we have now it's a great intimate venue and surrounded by trees. Is very picturesque.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah, we'll get you out there this year.
That'll be pretty cool. So, if Emory is your main competition or main rival, what would be probably number two?
Emory's our great crosstown in-state rival, and we're always, we're both nationally ranked, and they're a great team, and we're a great team, so that's always good. Washington and Lee up in Virginia. Those are probably the three most dominant soccer schools in Division III in the southeastern United States, and not in any particular order, but Washington and Lee, Emory, and Oglethorpe. The following weekend in our inaugural John Salomon tournament, we've got Roanoke and Lynchburg, which are two ODAC teams that are very good. And in that tournament, Emory is our partner, the same way we're Emory's partner in the Sonny Carter Invitational in their opening weekend. We've got the following weekend that we host our tournament. And Lynchburg, Emory, and Oglethorpe were all in the NCAA tournament last year. And so that's a pretty competitive tournament.
Do you ever play like Georgia State just because it's in the state?
We do. The interesting nuance about Division III and Division I, and there's going to be a lot of changes in college athletics coming up here in the next few years, but we used to play them in the spring and in the preseason, but Division I moved their start date up a week. So we start 10 days later than they do, so our schedules don't quite align because we're in preseason and they're starting their schedule.
Oh.
So they're limited to playing Division I schools for the most part during their season overall.
So, Coach, what do you think is your biggest achievement so far?
Oh, wow. That's a...
You're going to have multiple ones, too.
Yeah. I was very grateful and honored to be inducted in the Oglethorpe Hall of Fame this past spring.
Nice.
So that was great. And, I think winning the first conference championship in 2011, breaking that mold, and highlighting the fact that we can win championships. And, 11 conference championships is a lot in 13 years. So getting to the NCAA tournament for the first time, winning a first conference championship, there have been a lot of great achievements. Seeing some great young men and women, because I coached the women's team for my first 5 years in addition to coaching the men's team. That was pretty exciting to see those young men and women, walk across the stage. And, now some of those, kids, when I coached them, are now, parents and, very successful alums and very successful, professionals. Seeing them come back and tell me about what's going on in their lives, helping mentor them through those formidable years is a pretty fun accomplishment. So
that's pretty cool. What would you say, like your recruiting, where is your top recruiting location?
Atlanta is such a hotbed for soccer. We don't really have to go outside of Atlanta. And Atlanta is so, expansive. We get kids from Johns Creek High School. We get kids from Lakeside. We get kids from Marist. We get kids from Westminster. We get kids from Mill Creek. We really, Stockbridge. We get kids from all over. I would love to tell you it would make my job a lot easier if we did have one hot spot, but there's just so much talent all over. It's really, being prepared and proactive in our recruiting, cycles to identify those people as quickly as possible and talk to them about Oglethorpe and try to reel them in over the course of of a calendar year. It's everywhere.
So we have the assistant coach in the studio. Unfortunately, he's not mic'd up and all.
Yeah.
But what's some of the big duties that your assistant coach would do?
They keep me on the straight and narrow.
There you go.
Coach Miguel. We've had some great assistants over the years. Coach Mike Patrick. Our last two assistants. Coach Josh Bronsdorf, who played for me at Oglethorpe, is now the assistant at University of South Carolina. And then prior to him, Coach Carter Saden is now the assistant coach at UCF, and they were number one in the country for about 8 weeks last year. So there's so much goes into it. We talk to our players about that. They come in the office, they're like, hey, what do you do when you're not coaching on the field, training us? Well, we're recruiting, all the time, 365 days a year. Our legendary golf coach, Jim Owen, says recruiting's like shaving. If you take a day off, it makes you look bad. So it's a nonstop thing all the time. There's always something you could be doing because it's not just the senior class; it's the junior class and the sophomore class where you're trying to develop relationships. So, our assistant coaches throughout our recruiting, we are going to pick up equipment, distributing equipment, double checking practice schedules, double checking academic schedules, and making sure our kids are staying on track to graduate. Scouting opponents, going online and pulling video from opponents, and then breaking down that and then distilling that into what our practice plan might need to be to effectively, beat our opponent. I don't know, Miguel, what else do we do? So much. Yeah. Meal planning, meal prep, travel itineraries, booking buses, booking hotels, booking plane tickets.
You should give all that to him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, it's already on his plate. Yeah.
So there it is. Couldn't figure out what I was about to say. So we know your annual goal is to win.
Correct.
Be number one. So what's kind of like a long-term, couple of year type goal or development you'd like to see?
Sure. I think we've kind of cracked the code for now on conference championships. And we've done that. We've dominated our Southern Athletic Association for several years now. And we've put ourselves in the category of being one of the best 3 teams in the southeastern United States, which is quite an accomplishment.
Yes.
Our goal is now to be strong enough to win a national championship. It's a very, very difficult thing to do. There's 430 Division III schools in the country.
Wow.
Only 64 go to the tournament. Last year, we faced a team, Colorado College, who was nationally ranked, and they ended up losing on penalties, or they beat us 3-2, and they ended up losing in the Elite Eight to Washington and Lee on penalty kicks to go to the Final Four. So we beat Washington Lee earlier in the year. So, last year I think it was, a couple of our guys' first times in the NCAA tournament. Our aim is to get back there and be deep enough to make some noise and, go further than we've had before, which is the first goal, but hopefully win a national championship. And, you don't do that without continuing to bring in good players with the right mentality. So it would be, abstractly to continue to, be recognized as one of the, top 10, top 20 most elite college soccer programs in the country.
No, that would be awesome.
Yeah. I think we're knocking on that door, and hopefully, we've got to stay there, which is the hard part because it's a new gig every year,
right.
New group of players every year.
Well, we know that USA Soccer has chosen Atlanta. They're building the facility. Do y'all have any? Do you all do anything with them, or will be doing anything with them?
The host FIFA committee will be, they're probably put together now, or they're forming, site developments. I know there have already been some inquiries about Oglethorpe and some other locations for the teams that are coming to play here in the World Cup, to be their training facility. They're going to play in Mercedes-Benz. That's already been determined. But I think their practice facilities are places they're looking for. So I'm sure our rentals department and will be, coordinating some of those requests.
So how soon do they come in and start practicing for the World
They
Cup?
come the month before. So
Okay.
they will be coming in, late May, June of 20, I think around that time, 2026. They train for 3 weeks to a month around there, maybe 2 to 3 weeks, and then they play, and if they make it all the way to the finals, they'll stay the whole month, and if not, they could go out in 2 weeks if they're out of the first round. But it's exciting. I think it's 9 games, and we get a semifinal, which is just massive for the city.
Let's say one FIFA World Cup game is equal to a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I'd say that's
8
accurate.
or 9 Super Bowls.
We get 9
basically.
Super Bowls in a I'd probably say a 25-day period, which is going to be wild.
Well, the closest I've ever experienced anything, I was in Grand Forks, North Dakota, and the Pan Am Games
Oh yeah.
were in Winnipeg.
Okay.
So we were the official processing and training for the teams coming in to go to Winnipeg.
Oh wow.
So University of North Dakota was that, and then we had all these different countries coming in to train in Grand Forks before going to the actual games.
Yeah.
So the training can be huge just for Metro Atlanta before you even get to the actual game part.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of activity and, the ramp up and, obviously from a tourism standpoint, it's going to be unbelievable. It's 9 Super Bowls in 25 days.
Right.
So there's going to be a lot going on.
Well, they're bidding on a Super Bowl right now because they're having to find more hotels to be able to place the bid because it's gotten that much bigger in room nights and all. So you figure if it's like that, yeah, we're looking for a phenomenal 26.
Yeah, that's exciting. Yeah,
So,
very exciting.
We hope you all can get some training out of it. That'd be great.
Yeah, that'd be great, or even just to view anything like that. They're pretty secretive about those types of things, so they like private, gated areas where they can keep people in and out.
Mm-hmm.
It's exciting. But just knowing that it's going to be here in Atlanta is going to be great for the sport. It's going to be great for the city. We're as all of us soccer fans, we're excited. I'm just going to try to work on getting some tickets now.
Yeah.
They're going to be hard to come by.
Yeah, I would say so. We used to have some connections, don't we?
Well, we're working on it. We're working on it.
I know there's a meeting tomorrow about World Cup.
Okay.
From a CVB standpoint.
Oh, really?
So it's starting now for
Yeah.
the meetings.
Well.
So, you have any closing stories or any closing news you want to share with our listeners or our viewers?
I would just encourage, any soccer enthusiast or, anybody that's in our general area to come out and watch some of our home games. One, because they're quite entertaining. 2, because it's easy getting out of and they're free. So great family-friendly event. And hopefully, I think watching live soccer is one of the best things that young players could do for development. And just an easy opportunity, and we'd love for people in the, greater, DeKalb area and in the city in general to come see our beautiful campus and see our exciting soccer team. And
so it looks like your big rival is September the 2nd with Emory University.
Yeah, that one's going to be that one's going to be at Emory. At Emory, and then we play, and then we've got 2 games versus Roanoke and Lynchburg the following weekend, Friday and Sunday, September 6th and 8th, and then got a midweek game Tuesday at home versus Covenant. We're away at Maryville. I think we're away at Center. And then we've got a home game, another Tuesday game versus Emory. That's going to be a great one on a Tuesday night. And we've got a few other conference home games left. But if we do finish first or even in the top half of the conference, we'll be hosting some playoff games.
That'd be wonderful.
Which are really, really fun to experience. It's just an extra layer of excitement and knowing that it could all end at that moment if you don't come out on top. And then we will also be putting a bid in to host an NCAA tournament game if we are a high enough seed in the rankings to.
Now, do you have to add additional seating for those games?
We do. There's some requirements depending on which round it is. So there's a huge NCAA packet that says you need to have X. So I may be leaning on your expertise about beefing up what we have. We may have to move into the baseball stadium. Who knows?
See, there you go.
There you go. There's our.
I want to get a game in there. I just think that's such a phenomenal.
It is. It's an unbelievable venue. Not quite as soccer friendly, but I mean I think we could figure something out for a charity event or something like that. Would be pretty cool.
Yeah, just the looks of it is very cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Coach, we appreciate you being on the show.
Yeah, I'm so glad to be here.
I know you're going to come back in the future, so we're excited about that.
Yeah, look forward to bringing some special guests and some of our players, hopefully to add some color to what's going on, and we could dive into the student-athlete experience and what some of their perspectives are, a younger perspective, if you will.
Yes. Again, how can they find we don't need tickets, but how can they find information about you, the games, and all that?
Yeah, Oglethorpe's website, also our athletic-specific website is gopetrels.com. Please, go there, and everything's pretty self-explanatory going to men's soccer or any sport that anybody wanted to check out online. But gopetrels.com is the best way to do it. And there's a lot of great information, records page, and headshots for our rosters, numbers for players, so the young players can check those guys out. There's some bios on there as well, so they can learn a little bit more about our players before they attend the game.
Well, thank you, Coach. Appreciate you being here. Looking forward to the next show.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm looking forward to the next one as well.
Thank you all for tuning in or watching us. Have a great day.